Hello and welcome to another episode of Ashes to Go. I am your host, Redbird, and with me is BDLG. Bordy, we got some fun stuff to talk about tonight.
We do, man. We do, yeah.
Another
full
dip
episode,
into the
dude.
Ashes pot, dude.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
I don't
and
know
now that
either.
I think about that saying, why are we dipping our hands in the pot?
I don't know. I don't know why you said that, man. That was not a good
So it's either
way to
two
start the
pots.
show.
One is hot, and we probably shouldn't dip our hand in that pot because it's going to burn us. And two, there's probably fecal matter or some sort of, urine in there. Why are we reaching into that pot?
Yeah, dookie. I'll just say it. There's dookie in that pot, dude.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why are we reaching our hands in the pot?
Why are we talking about this anyway,
I don't
dude?
know,
Like,
dude. All right, let's go to Ashes stuff. Guys, if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, go do that now. We put up Ashes content over there at least once a week. And dude, we're trucking through all through the alpha, and dude, we're ready for the NDA drop, to be honest. And to be frank, dude, it's coming soon. So the next alpha date that we have is February 19th through the 22nd. Now that is under NDA.
Which just happened. Today's the 23rd.
Actually, it's over. Yeah. Good point, Bordy. Yeah. That's why we have you on the podcast, is to, mention stuff like
So the next alpha one will be March 19th through March 26th.
All right.
It's pretest 3.
And that is the last NDA test, right?
That is no NDA.
Oh, so March is when the NDA drops, which is exciting because then we'll be able to actually cover content for you guys from the game. Our buddy Taken has access to it. I'm hoping to get access to it. So we'll have lots of new, interesting stuff to talk about. So that is, what is the date again, Bordy?
March 19th through the 26th.
March 19th to the 26th. Perfect. Now, if you're in that one, you have to have the Alpha 1 access still. So it is still considered Alpha 1. So that's important to remember. And you guys probably know this by now because we've talked about it several times on the stream or on the podcast. Also, just a quick reminder, and this has not happened yet if you're listening to it on the 24th, which is when this episode goes live. Or no, 24th as a podcast, 25th on YouTube. The 26th is when they're doing their next development update. So they're having that at 11 PST, which is 1 Central Standard, 2 Eastern Time. And obviously, we're looking forward to some new information about potentially alpha or some new features that we're going to see in the next test. So always cool.
Yeah, I always look forward to those, man. I don't know what they're going to be showing in that one, dude. It's they always show
new backer
cool
package, which is good because I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to say it. Never mind. All the art they do is very cool. It's just not my preference. Okay, so I'm waiting for one that might be my preference again. My wife was supposed to give me a Valentine's Day present, you see, Bordy, and I conned her into letting me purchase Ashes of Creation. She has no idea how expensive it is, but she said it's okay. So
she's just don't tell her.
Well, she'll find out on the bank statement. But the thing is dude, I do the budget, so I'll just budget it right in there, dude. Redbird's Valentine's gift, no problem.
Yeah, easy.
All right, dude. So the first topic we have, other than obviously the updates on all the alpha testing, is guild gathering. So this is the kind of the recruitment and retention. It was a discussion that they were having. This is kind of a new segment, I guess, because this is actually, they kind of coined it number 1. Glorious Ashes community. We're kicking off a brand new series. Well, there you go. Called Guild Gatherings. Guild gathering topics are reverse question Q&As, similar to dev discussions where we ask you questions about your thoughts related to guilds. Our team has compiled a list of questions we'd love to get feedback from. Obviously, this is the same format as dev discussions. So, what guild tools are most helpful to you for recruitment and retention, both in-game and out-of-game? Bordy, for those of you who don't know, who've been with us long enough, and this is way back in the day, this is before our ESO days, we were both managers of a Crowfall guild, which is a game that is also, I think, still in alpha at this point. And dude, we managed a pretty significant sized guild, and so we were very familiar with we are very familiar with guild building and managing a guild. I think we had at some point over 100, 150 members.
No, No, there's 300 people in there, man.
Okay, that
Yeah.
you get the point. So, dude, what do you think, man? What are some good tools to have in game first to help manage a guild or in a MMO like this?
Well, I think one of the essential things to have in, and I'm sure they'll have this, is one of the things we struggled whenever we were running our guild back then was a guild bank, man. You know, I think having a guild bank is incredibly important. Now, Ashes is going to be a little bit different, I'm sure, than Crowfall and some other games in that manner. But having a guild bank, I think, is always an integral part of running any kind of guild, to pull your resources together for the greater good, for the greater cause of the guild, you know, and to be able to manage that stuff and to help people by depositing things maybe you don't need so that people can withdraw and all that stuff. Guild bank, man, I think that is by far and away one of the most important tools you can have as a guild to help manage your stuff.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. Also, you know, I like to see a guild hall of some sort. Now, this is kind of reckons me back to the day of EverQuest 2. One of the coolest things I thought about or they did a lot of things well, but their player housing and guild housing was really cool. Having a place where all of your guild can kind of come and call home and design and decorate with all the trophies that you've achieved and monsters you've killed, I think is really, really cool. And I don't think a lot of games do that anymore, man. You know, you don't really see a lot of games have like a guild-centered housing. And I think it's something that I would like to see in Ashes because of the nature of how the nodes work and everything. It'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think, though, I kind of dodged the question in a little, maybe not dodged it, but just didn't answer it to its full potential, because this specifically says what guild tools are most helpful for recruitment and retention, both in game and outside of game. So for recruitment and retention, man, see, that's kind of a tough one. Guild tools that are most helpful for recruitment, dude, that's a tough one, man. I would think, man, in game, what are some tools you could have in game to help with recruitment?
I mean, so there's, you know, I'm trying to think what game has this. There's a game that has a directory of guilds that you can look through that has like.
I think there's a lot of MMOs that do that.
Sure. I think those are good because, you know, a lot of the times it's hard to find a guild. A lot of players want to join a guild, but it's difficult in game to find a guild that's a good fit. Having that directory, like with a little spiel on what your guild is about, and why, you know, what the purpose of your guild is, whether it's just for casual play or, you know, maybe your hardcore, PvE, PvP, stuff like that. I think it's good initially when you're in the guild search to like have that way to kind of filter through guilds. So something like that in game's great. I mean, we kind of have that over at ashesfans.com. So you could
we do. And it says both in game and outside of game. And I do think that the tool we have over at ashesfans.com is really good. We have a lot of guilds signed up over there. And it is an unintentional plug, but I think it is useful in all honesty, because that is a way for people to go find guilds that suits their style. You can filter through them to figure out what guild you'd be interested in, and then you can, you know, all the information's there. You can reach out and apply for the guild. I think those types of tools are good for recruitment. But I, to be honest, I don't really know off the top of my head what other things would be good for recruitment in a game. Like, what else can you do other than a guild chat in game? Like, I'm not very creative, I guess, when it comes to thinking of ways you could be helpful for recruitment. You know, I mean, I don't know what there would be. Maybe some sort of I don't know, man. Some sort of event that you could have, and then if you won, you could blast your guild on chat and have people join or something. I don't know, man. I have no idea.
Well, I think
a struggle.
Guild vendors are good. I know it's not directly related to, you know, promotion or anything like that, but I think it's another cool feature that can kind of help give your guild some cred or some.
That might fall under retention.
Yeah,
maybe.
retention.
The retention section.
Having features like that your guild can manage that keep your gathers and crafters going. And I don't know.
You know one thing I've never seen. Oh, voice crack, bro. Jeez. You know one thing I've never seen in an MMO. What if there were a calendar, a guild calendar, like in game that you could write down events? WoW has a WoW. I haven't played WoW in forever, so I guess
sure. But I'm saying like it is a good feature because it does help people keep track of like raid nights and you know, maybe they're doing a recruitment week and they're prompts people to be more attentive to people looking for guilds and stuff. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, dude. Having a guild calendar in game.
Yeah, I just always think, there's so many things going on usually with your guilds and trying to put together, events and organize those events instead of having to blast them all the time. People could just get on, look at the guild calendar and say, oh, I need to be on this night to participate in this event. That sounds like a lot of fun type of thing. Guild calendar, I think would be good. I think that'd be really good for retention, not so much for recruitment. But I think it'd be good for retention.
Here's one thing that I would like to mention about this is, dude, I think a lot more of that stuff needs to be in game. I find it challenging to when you play a game and a lot of this stuff or the resources or tools essential to like experience the game at a high level or even like get enjoyment out of the game is on exterior websites and stuff like that where you having to I would much rather most of those features to help you organize your guild be in game and not out game or out of the game, and I think that is important, especially if you want a guild centered game with
Yeah, I would agree too, but they're also asking specifically what types of things would you like to see outside of the game. I would like to see those things incorporated into like an app on your phone because everyone has phones now. So like all of your guild calendar, your guild bank, so you can go in there and see what the guild has and just things you can kind of do. You can kind of manage outside of the game without actually being in the game are all good, I think. So if you had all those tools in game and then an app to connect all of your guild stuff within the game that you could look at, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think they said they're going to have some kind of app for the phone, some kind of companion app for the phone at some point. But I don't know what else is going to be involved in that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I don't think a lot of games utilize well. Is just having something that you can when I'm AFK or like when I'm at work and I having something to do that I feel like I'm progressing in game in some way or still like part of the game and I know that there's things like Discord that you keep track of your guilds with and having chat and stuff like that that's there too but like you said something like a calendar or something that kind of helps you know that you can pull up the app and kind of see like, oh well, tonight's raid night and I can sign up on my phone and not have to get to a computer to sign up for the raid roster and stuff like that. I think would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Those are all good, man. I'm still stumped on recruitment though, really, to find anything super unique to help people recruit in game. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a little bit and maybe mention something on the next episode and put on my thinking cap because that's a tough one, man. I don't know what you do to help recruitment unless there was some kind of rotating. Maybe there's a rotating guild board in town that like maybe a billboard type of thing almost that you can pay gold for and you can have your guild plastered on that billboard for X amount of time, to help with recruitment, like on the side of a building or something, you hang a banner or something like that, something that fits the aesthetic of the game, obviously, but gets the point across that, hey, we're recruiting and we're about such and such or whatever. Or maybe like a town crier that's there and you pay the town crier X amount of money and they shout out your guild name or something versus just people spamming it in guild chat or spamming it in recruitment chat all the time, because that gets old to me, man. Having my chat
right?
just
like having
it's
someone
ineffective
like yell at you.
and it's ineffective. I can't stand. There's nothing more I can't stand in an MMO is looking at that type of stuff in game. It gets really, really annoying. And that gets really annoying, as well as like having people just spam invites to you while you're in town at random. Like I don't know you. Why are you sending me an invite to your guild? And I know that's how guilds grow a lot of times, because people will just accept those random invites, and then sometimes they find a great fit for themselves. But I don't like that.
I would say that's probably pretty rare, honestly.
Probably pretty rare. A lot of times they'll join and then probably leave and whatever. And so, I think there's more effective ways. I think a town crier situation or something like that, pay for advertising space within the game to advertise your guild would be pretty dope. I think that could help with the recruitment some. That's about the only unique thing I could think of that might be cool to incorporate in the game. Yeah,
for sure. I think all these are very interesting, and I'd like to see what the community comes up with for this one, because I think it is challenging. It is an art, to kind of place guilds in a good position to grow within your game. That isn't, like you said, some spammy like zone chat type of way, which I think most guilds kind of approach nowadays in MMOs is just kind of use that approach to use in-game chat. So maybe they can just find a more effective way to keep that out of in-game chat, but that's impossible because people are going to use global. Even if you put like a recruitment channel, they're going to use global anyways because why not?
Oh yeah, it's just how it goes. That's just how it goes, man. It does say here, keep an eye out for the next guild gathering topic regarding guild halls. So there you go, man. You mentioned guild halls earlier. The next there's gonna be a whole topic on guild halls next guild gathering discussions.
Well, cool. I get to relive my ESE or EverQuest 2 days. That's gonna be dope. I can't wait.
Yeah. Here's
another discussion, dude. A dev discussion that I'm really excited to talk to you about. I'm interested to hear what your answer is gonna be. Which of our 64 classes do you think you'll spend the most time playing, and what are the key elements to making this your ideal class? Feel free to share your creative and crazy ideas, even though you may not think it fits the usual class mold. All right, dude, I'm gonna let you go first here. Dude, this is fun. I actually had this on our we keep track of all of our ideas and video topics, and this was one that I was excited to do for like a standalone video. I'm interested. Let's do it right here. We'll do a little bit of a quick snippet of what we were going to play, dude. So take it away, dude.
Yeah, so I like in MMOs, man, I like a couple of different classes, and these are kind of very different styles. But I like, for one, I like a tank fighter class in an MMO, just a kind of a brute, not a full-on tank where I like to do damage, but I like to be able to absorb damage too. So for that reason, I think one of them, I think I have two in here.
All right,
but I think one of them would be, and this is my number one, and plus the name is just incredibly awesome.
The name is sick, dude.
The Dreadnought, bro. How can you not play that? And it is a combination of a fighter and a tank, which is just...
So you would main fighter and then your secondary class.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would main fighter, and then I would probably go deep into those trees, and then add some tankiness on top of that. Now, obviously, we don't know what the morphs are going to be on our skills. We don't know what the secondary archetypes are going to be like yet. We did get the tank archetypes that we did a video on not too long ago, and that was cool. So there's some pretty neat abilities there, but we don't know what the fighters are going to be yet. And we don't know how those are going to interact with one another. But the Dreadnought is number one on my list for sure. The name is incredible, and I feel like that would fit my play style a lot in the game. As far as like unique things that I'd want to see for that class, it's kind of, my biggest thing for the uniqueness is just, I think they already have that, is the way they're doing the archetype classes and merging the abilities together. I love the way they're doing those, and I think that if they just really push into that a lot and make some very unique, crazy abilities that comes out of this, then I think they're going to nail it. And I think they're going to nail the uniqueness of the class and the differentiation of the class. One of the things I like or would like is to have my Dreadnought be much different than somebody else's Dreadnought, right? Like, I don't want my build to be the same as this guy's build. And that's incredibly difficult to do in an MMO, but that's what I want out of the deal and that's what would make me play it more and more and more, is to know that, hey, my build is so much different than yours, and really so much different than everyone's, or at least a little bit different than everyone's, that my play style is my own. I'm not playing a meta per se. I'm playing my own thing here, and it's relevant, and it's something that can be played. It doesn't just suck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so this chart is interesting too, because I have a hard time tracking which one's the primary class. For some reason.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, is the top this is probably completely off topic, but is the top row your primary, or is the downward row? I think it's the top row, right? Or is it the bottom row? You see what I'm saying? You're looking at
they're both. So primary, the top row is your secondary. So like bard would be called a minstrel. So you'd have bard as primary, bard as a secondary. That'd be a minstrel. So if you have like cleric, you'd have, like, if you had cleric fighter, you'd have you would have a Templar. So your cleric would be your primary, your fighter would be your secondary. A high sword.
Yeah. You see how the
cleric fighter. Yeah, but it says the top is a secondary. The top is secondary. The side is primary.
Okay. All right. All right. Cool. All right. So Dreadnought would be your fighter's your primary. Tanks your secondary. Now, what's your second thing that you want to be?
So So my second is a duelist, man. Yeah, I love being very fast and agile as well, but I like melee. So I like to be in your face, moving around. I like that play style a lot too. I have a whole lot of fun with that. So like in Crowfall, for example, I played a duelist and had an absolute blast on that class. They have a kind of a unique take on that class there, but kind of a rogue mixed with a fighter. I don't go all in on rogue though. I don't like to sneak around as a rogue. That's not it's too slow paced for me. I don't like going into stealth and sneaking around and doing the backstabbing with the daggers and all that. But I do like a fast paced melee type of build, right? Like somebody that wears kind of light, medium armor, something like that, that's just kind of hops around, rolls around, stabs, dodges, that type of play style. So I think duelist would be my second one. And I know that's kind of, out of all these things to choose, it's like that's kind of, duelist. We've seen that, but I like that play style. I like it. So those are my two, I think.
Nice, dude. So first one, I think my primary choice, I like to be able to be self-sufficient, and I also like to fight at range, is going to be the Soulbow, dude. I love the idea of having a ranger that has some sort of holy or healing type abilities, maybe even some kind of leech abilities with the arrows and healing and stuff. So I think that'd be dope. Having that ranger combination with a cleric is something I've never played in a game before.
So where's this? Hold on. Where's the Soulbow? The Soulbow is that Ranger cleric?
Ranger would be the primary, and cleric is the secondary. If I'm
I see it. Yeah.
That's why I feel stupid because I'm looking at this. I'm like, what the heck? I don't know if.
No, that's right.
Yeah, it just.
No, that's right. It's
okay.
Soulbow.
All right. Yeah. So Soulbow would be. My ranger. I would be primarily a ranger, but I'd have cleric abilities on my bar. I think that'd be dope. I mean, like all alterations to my ranger classes. I think that'd be dope. The second one, just for pure interest sake, because I do play magic classes a lot in MMOs, and this one just seems so unique that I'd have to give it a go, is the Shadowmancer, dude. Is a summoner and a rogue. I just think that would be really cool to have some sort of shadow magic, even if it's a mage rogue or a summoner rogue. I think I'd be looking in that category because it just sounds dope, man. And I just would, am I going to maybe summon some shadow copies of myself as a summoner? Or, am I using some sort of blood magic as a shadow caster? Dude, those two things look really, really cool. And I definitely would, if I don't go with Shadowbow, it'll be just something in that category. The rogue mage mix. I think that's really interesting, and I'm excited to see what that type of combination does in Ashes of Creation.
Yeah, those are interesting, man. So what would keep you playing, dude? Like, what are some unique things that you want to see that would keep you playing that class versus something else?
I'm with you on this, dude. It's got to be unique. If I can create a build that's viable, that's unique, that is unique to me, and that feels like it, it feels like it sounds like, I want to feel like a shadow caster. I don't want to just like feel like a mage with a couple like invisibility spells or something like that. You know what I mean? I want it to fully fledged play completely different than any other mage, or can play completely different than any other summoner because of the rogue choice that I picked. And I think that's the key, is executing that. If they can do that, I think it's very powerful. To have that many classes or subclasses in the game that truly players can identify with, because that's where you get people is like, dude, if they can identify with being a shadow caster, like, and feel proud of that and feel like they have a build that no one else is playing, or that very few people are playing, I think that is the recipe for success. Because like we know from the history of MMOs, it's important for players to connect with their character.
Yeah, and I think you had one key word in there. I identify, like identity to a character is important. Like if they have all of these abilities in here and none of them really have, like say a spell sword, for example, you don't have a true identity for a spell sword, and it's just kind of all over the place whenever you're morphing your secondary archetype. Morphing all those abilities and trying to build out your character. If it's not a very clear identity that this is a spell sword, then it's kind of off-putting, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, okay. So if you always, no matter what secondary pick you choose, if you always feel like a ranger or a tank, or you know what I mean? If there's no actual flavor to those choices, then yeah, it's going to be, I think it's going to be worse than just having like 12 regular classes, right? It would be better for them to have just like that kind of diversity. If your secondary class, your alterations of your skills don't feel like they're unique to that particular subclass. Dude, they have a lot of choices to make, it seems like, within the subclass choices as far as how you would augment your abilities. And that system, if executed well, could, like we've been saying, create a lot of diversity. Now, obviously, I think the main part of creating diversity is making it viable, because a lot of games have diversity, but there's always still like 4 classes that you want to play if you want to be good. And you know that most people take that approach to games, or a lot of people take that approach to MMOs like that. They want a build that's viable. They're just going to go, look at a website and see like what's the best build for Rogue. Oh, well, I got to choose Rogue. So Rogue is how you be that assassin, be that person that's backstabbing from stealth, and then you might get like most of your rogues choosing that.
Yeah, which is man, that's incredibly difficult for an MMO to do, especially with 64 choices, man. And I hope that they can nail that, because that's rough, man. It takes away a lot from the game whenever you have 64 choices and 75% of the player base is running around with a specific choice because it is the strongest, and that's where I think that the secondary archetype has to come into play with the uniqueness of how you build out your character. And there has to be so many choices that do make sense, that is going to diversify these builds a bunch. Because what good is 64 classes if nobody's going to play half of them,
or less than half, really? I mean, like if they're only playing 10, like why have 80 or 64 or whatever? Yeah,
exactly.
And they've mentioned that a lot, so I think they're very aware of the challenge that's in front of them. Is they don't want that to be the case.
They have. So it says the next dev discussion is on hybrid combat, bro. Oh, that's a big topic. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
That's a big
it's big
topic
for the future of Ashes, I think, too.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a discussion
I think for another time. But we harp on all of our podcasts of how important combat is in an MMO. So I think it's very
that'll be a fun one. We'll have to talk about that next episode.
It will for sure. All right, so our next and last topic of the podcast, this is one that we're kind of excited, and I'm going to show this video on screen. Is they released some footage of an underwater dungeon. So dude, this is pretty cool. Got a little bit of, and we've seen the alpha map. We've seen how how there's the coves and caverns and big rocks over the ocean and the sea where you can pull in your port or port your ship. And dude, it seems like there's going to be an underwater dungeon to explore while you're there. So dude, what are your thoughts first and foremost on underwater features or content in MMOs?
To be honest, it scares me, man, because this has been done so many times and done poorly. Yeah. How do you make combat underwater something that is fun and engaging and a good time? And, it's so hard, I think, to make that. I think it's so hard to make your underwater content as good as any kind of overland content, because your movement and the physics underwater are so much different than they are on land. And we've seen other MMOs try and some people go down there. It's just not a very popular feature for MMOs, I don't think. I think most of the time people would prefer to be on land than down here doing this underwater content. And I think that's going to be their challenge. As cool as this underwater dungeon looks, and it does look cool. I mean, the art, the environment, it always looks dope. And going to explore these places is going to be really cool too. And I'm all for it. But I just worry that the experience on ground is going to be much better than underwater. And so because of that, the underwater content is just going to kind of just be there. It's going to be there, and it's going to be something that we have to run to get a certain thing. And then beyond that, nobody's going to actually want to go do it. So that's their challenge. I think you got to make it something that people are going to want to do. And combat underwater is my biggest concern. I think it's hard to do, I think.
See, now some part of this video makes me think that it's more of a so there was a dungeon or a raid, even dark scale or something like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get roasted for this, but basically it's a World of Warcraft did it in the Burning Legion or the Burning Crusade, the Burning Crusade expansion. There was so you had to swim underwater to discover the dungeon in the raid, but once you got into where the dungeon and raid were, you came back out of water and then completed the dungeon. So this kind of has a feel for some reason like you have to go underwater to find where this dungeon entrance is, but then once you get down there, then it's on ground content. So that may be the case.
That'd be interesting.
So, but we do know Ashes is going to focus on some naval combat and underwater experiences. So, there is potentially that too. So, one of the things, and I think, like you said, is your underwater content good enough to compete with your on land content or regular content? Yeah. Because if it's not, then it's vain, right? To try to add something like this is not conducive. And like you said, you're just going to get people that kind of loathe having to do stuff in the water. But with naval combat and the opportunity for piracy and stuff like that, you should probably have good underwater content. But dude, here's the thing and I'm going to make a little bit of a Sea of Thieves reference here, dude. That whole game is piracy and ship play and stuff like that. And they don't have good underwater content. So, they do have shipwrecks and stuff where you can go down and kind of, pull treasure out of there, and you have to worry about your breathing and stuff like that. But, I think most people agree the breathing, I guess what would we call it? The breathing content or having to worry about that as a mechanic is oftentimes not fun, right? I don't want to die to drowning when I'm some sort of superhero. Yeah. I'm a Soulbow and I got magical abilities and my arrows I can shoot with accuracy from 500 yards, and then I drowned because I was spinning.
Well, maybe there'll be a potion or some kind of breathing apparatus
they have
that you can
stated
put on
that there will be those things, yeah.
Yeah, because that does get really old, managing that and having to come up for breath and then go back under. I can't imagine that they would implement a dungeon that's an hour long or 30 minutes long where you have to come back up and get breath. I can't imagine that being a mechanic. That would just be an irritation and then people for sure wouldn't go down there and run the dungeon because it'd be bad at that point. So I think that I don't know that that'll be an issue. I hope it's not anyway. We'll see, man. It looks cool. I'm all for naval combat and underwater stuff. It's in more areas to explore, more stuff to do in the game. It's, a place where there's all this water out there, but there's nothing you can do, right? So it's half your map is water, but what do you do with the water? You know what I mean? You can't really go do anything with it. So why not utilize it for some underwater content? I love it, but the problem is it's rarely good in games. Yeah, so that's the challenge. They got to make the combat good somehow. They've got to come up with some unique, some groundbreaking way to do this underwater stuff for it to be fun. And, maybe they can do it. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm excited for the attempt. I like when people try new things. I think Ashes is a bold project alone, without this underwater content. I think it's very bold. So, this is another thing that I just hope they can execute well, because if they can, then I think they'll be one of the first to ever do something good. I know there's some zones in WoW that people consider to be okay content. So, but we want more than okay, dude. We want we want excellent, and we'll see. Ashes, if anybody can deliver, you would think it'd be Ashes. If they're going to deliver the node system and how bold that is, then maybe they can deliver underwater content as well.
Yeah, maybe so. We'll see.
All right, man. Well, it's been a fun episode. Why don't we end with our Guild of the Week?
Yeah, man. The Guild of the Week this week is the One Ring Crusaders, man. The region NA language is English. Focus PVX size 1 to 25. They are currently recruiting. They have just a short description here. It says they're starting off as a casual guild, and hopefully at some point they're wanting to grow into more than a casual guild. They're just going to kind of let the guild evolve into whatever it grows into. Sounds like they're just a few friends getting together. They want to have a lot of laughs, a lot of memories, just have a lot of adventures together, and then at the end it just says, "Please join the casual chaos that they're gonna ensue in." So it looks like a fun group to be a part of. It looks like it's kind of a ground floor type of guild. The One Ring Crusaders. Go check them out. We'll make sure to post a link everywhere. This podcast is posted, YouTube, and then all of the podcast platforms.
And over at ashesfans.com, if you have a guild that you want to promote for Ashes of Creation, don't forget to head over there and post your guild advertisement, because, dude, I know Ashes is a ways out, but, dude, that NDA is going to drop, and there's going to be people in there trying to build guilds. Any alpha I've been a part of, they're just people trying to make their roster 500 people deep from the jump. So, it'll be fun to see, man. I'm excited for the NDA to drop, to be honest. There's so much in this game that I want to see in action. I think I know, I think a lot of people know a ton about the game, but what is it going to look like when it's actual, like, playable, and, how are these systems going to work when the game is live? I think that's the next step there. So, all right, man. Well, it's been a fun one. I always have fun talking about Ashes of Creation with you, buddy. Guys, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, our Twitter, follow the Studio Loot Twitter. Obviously we are going, that's not solo. Me and you are working together on Studio Loot, but we're going one, Twitter account, one YouTube channel. And, again, the name,
Consolidation, man. There you go. That's what you're looking for. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm looking for, man. It's midnight. I at this point, I'm proud of myself for being awake, to be honest with you. It's been a long day, but again, guys, always fun to be with you guys. Thank you guys so much for supporting us, and we'll see you in another episode of Ashes to Go.